it is early April and it's actually still really warm. So we've been above 90 degrees every day for the last couple weeks, which has changed things a little bit. The fruit trees are really happy. What's left of the winter garden beds are not so happy, but we're looking forward to spring. Okay, so we got something a little bit different today. So we actually have a documentary crew here doing a little mini documentary on the farm. So I'll link it down below, but Paragraphic is their YouTube channel, and we've got them here, so you may see some unfamiliar faces in some of these shots, and we're going to really focus today on chores and some of the projects that we're doing. Obviously, you guys know we bring you along with, but before I forget, Rosie, how are you? Really excited that you are watching these YouTube videos and you want to be a farmer. You are, as far as I know, our youngest fan that's reached out to us at least, and really cool that you want to be a farmer and we can encourage you. So Rosie, hello, and really happy to have you here. We got Lori here this morning. We actually set aside some chores for the documentary crew that we normally get done in the evenings, so we're going to take you along with us, and that would be the nuggets. I think I got some footage of feeding them, but before we do that, we need to let out the layers. So let's go let the layers out onto pasture. We're gonna need to make sure we get water on. I've got it turned off.
Can I go turn it on real quick?
Yeah, but let's let these guys out. Come on, girl. Yeah, you can see her. You can see her foot. You saw me spraying that in, so we're doing alfalfa behind the chickens right now because we think our best bet for something green in the summertime is going to be alfalfa. In fact, I'm going to spin around. If you guys see the pasture back there, that's all alfalfa that's come in here in the spring. So right as we started warming up, this alfalfa started coming up. It's staying nice and green, and we're trying to figure out how we can get away from having a Bermuda as far as greens during the summertime. We don't want Bermuda on the property. So we're hoping that maybe alfalfa is an option. So what you saw me seeding behind the chickens back there was alfalfa. And then obviously watering it in real heavy. Now, I don't know, the hens are back there, so the girls might actually find a few of those seeds, but that's okay. One other thing I wanted to talk about, you can see the pasture back here, how it's starting to brown up a little bit, and that's obviously just the intense heat that we've had. We got up into the mid 90s. We're gonna be in the low 90s today. But what I wanted to show you guys real quick is the importance of getting the ground turned up and growing things, because might be hard to make out that way, and hopefully you can here. But if you look, we've got a dark patch right there. So that is nice and green. You can see this is starting to brown up a little bit. Still nice. It's actually pretty green, but not as green as this patch here. So if you guys remember, we tilled the whole pasture. This whole thing was tilled. But we've got certain areas that are much, much greener than others. And this in particular was real obvious. So this is actually where we had trenched the irrigation line. So that is a foot or so, actually a little over a foot deep. And you can see it's much greener and it's staying green because we had a chance for those roots to really penetrate into the ground. So we've got a few areas that we obviously didn't till quite as well, but that's the reason why we till at least initially. We don't want to till long term, but we till initially because it helps with root establishment, and then of course that helps with water penetration and all those things that we're trying to do here on the farm. to conserve that water and eventually really have this regenerate. Okay, so we're done with chicken chores, kinda, and Lori and I are heading. Hey, sweetheart.
Hi.
Lori's been funny this morning because you've been a little nervous today. Why have you been so nervous?
Well, yeah, everybody knows I don't like to be on camera, and we have a documentary crew here.
So our own documentary is not scary anymore.
Of course it is.
Anyhow, Lori's great. Okay. All right, I guess we're here at the chickens. Should we just finish the chickens?
Yeah.
Don't worry about the hens, sweetie. They're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You get some more straw, huh?
Yeah.
Just topped off the bird feeder there with water. That is running out of water every day. You guys know we've got the 2 different water tanks, one at the end of the west orchard here and one just on the south side of the Mulberry area, and those are starting to run out of water pretty quick. So we are going to get some bigger water tanks. We just want to make sure that we can get the small birds, animals, and things like that some water, in addition to, you know, the larger stuff like coyotes and that kind of thing that can get into a larger tank. And you guys know that we had some water that we were keeping up at the front of the house because we had the free range cattle that were coming through. We knew they were really thirsty, and then we had something happen this week that we weren't expecting. Let's go show you that real quick. You guys know we had those, the water tank in the front, and we actually kind of knew already. We've got a neighbor that's down the road about a quarter of a mile that runs sheep, and Lady, which is his livestock guardian dog, she's a Pyrenees. She runs with these sheep. Well, we didn't know until last week that they decided to come over and munch on a few trees. So you guys know we have the Dorset apple that we've got in the pot here. So they made their way back onto the farm. We saw them on camera and I was a little nervous, but they went ahead and took off all of the apples that were on this little guy here. We had about a dozen apples and most of the leaves, and then they attacked Lori's roses. So we had those caged up until yesterday. So we got home. They also munched on some of the Shangri-La mulberries. So we obviously weren't prepared for sheep to be back here. You guys know we protect them from the rabbits, but sheep is a totally different story. So we knew the neighbor, texted him, he came over. Turns out he's got a GPS on the dog and on one of the sheep, and he has areas that are basically blocked out so that the sheep don't go into them. He just didn't have the farm blocked out. So he reset his GPS, that way they're not going to be back. But the question is whether or not this apple tree is going to make it. I'm hopeful because you guys can probably see in here, we have new growth right in here. I've actually got some flowering that looks like it's going to try to come back. And these trees are really aggressive this time of year. So I'm hopeful that the sheep got to them early enough in the season that we'll be able to get some of the growth back, and this tree is going to be okay. Plus, it's a few years old, so again, fingers crossed, we'll be in good shape. So you guys are actually probably watching this today. We filmed it a couple weeks ago, and it's going to be really hard to pick up on camera, but this is the pig area. So we've got all of our cover crops that we're testing in this area, and I'm gonna see if I can get it on camera, but they're starting to actually come up really, really good. We've got basically everything coming up. So I don't think there's anything that hasn't sprouted at this point. One of the things that we're doing is we're watering this at least twice a day, but we did notice that wherever we had a low spot and water was pooling a lot, we didn't have a whole lot of growth that was coming out of that. It was interesting because the higher points, which I guess shouldn't be all that surprising, you have that swale that we basically created, and then you have the berm around that swale. And basically that berm is where everything was actually starting to pop out first. And then it's just like solid green patches, sort of here and there. And then of course the corn, for whatever reason you guys were always wanting us to grow corn. That was crazy. That was the #1 suggested crop to put in here. But the corn's popping up pretty good as well, so that's good to see. But just wanted to give you guys a quick update on this. Hopefully here over the next few weeks, this will really start to explode and get nice and green, and we're pretty excited. The sheep were really happy to eat some of these Shangri-La mulberries, so we actually lost the whole front side of this tree, and it happened to the other trees there in the background as well. So one thing we know for sure, once we have our own sheep, is we will definitely be able to use mulberries as fodder. At least mulberry leaves and branches, because they really went after these trees. The good thing about that is, kind of like that apple tree, these guys are just getting into the main part of their growth period, so they should grow back really good. Plus, I know a lot of you guys in the city are already getting ripe mulberries. Ours are just starting to ripen up, so I'm not sure whether you're going to pick that up on camera or not, but they're just starting to get ripe, so they're still kind of white pink, definitely not ripe yet. And we haven't gotten a completely ripe one off of here, so hopefully that's going to be happening soon. We've got the blackberries, so you'll see those in the background right there. So you guys know that we're a huge fan of the Primark blackberry and also the Triple Crown blackberry, and as usual, those two are doing amazing here as we're starting to push out growth. We did have the Loch Ness, which is that last one over there, which is not doing well at all. It's just kind of sitting there not doing much. And then we have the Colombian Giant, which is down here. So that's this guy right here. That Colombian Giant actually has fruit set on it, believe it or not. I was shocked to see that. That's pretty cool to see. So hopefully we can get a third variety of blackberry in addition to the Triple Crown and the Primark. The Triple Crown also has several fruits on it. Hopefully you see that right there. So you guys know that we take care of the bees here and really all of our pollinators, but obviously the bees did their job really, really well with this bush. And then we've got this strong growth coming out right here, which is great to see because that is next year's production. And that's just really, really cool to see. But yeah, check this out. Several blackberries there. Now the Primark, I didn't see any on the Primark. That one's that first one back there. However, it's really, really young. So my hope is that maybe this fall we'll see that. That's a possibility. But so far I'm seeing, goodness, at least a couple dozen blackberries on this bush. And this is the one we actually took from the old property. I always want to give you guys an update on these mulberries because these ever-bearing mulberries, if you guys are looking for a tree that's very easy to grow, it gives amazing production, especially here in the spring. Although we've gotten 2 crops off of it, you can trim it like a hedge like we're doing here. You know, it's great livestock fodder. There's so many reasons why an ever-bearing mulberry is just an amazing tree. You can see the incredible growth that we're already getting off of these here early in the spring. I mean, we have branching going all over the place. I mean, you get up into here, there's branching all over the top here. There's branching coming into the middle. You know, we're still pulling branching off of the base. And then the production, these things are loaded with fruit. So we've shown you guys this before, but just look at the production on here. It is just loaded with fruit everywhere. So now these fruit, they're gonna ripen here. And actually, we're starting to get some pink and red. We harvested one the other day that was just starting to turn black, and it's not gonna be long, and these are gonna be just completely loaded with ripe fruit. So we're super excited. But you can just see beautiful green, and they're really starting to get a nice canopy that's gonna give us some shade protection. I think by the time we're into summer this year, we should actually have some significant shade on this west side of the chicken coop and run. So one of the things that we have coming up here, actually in two weeks from today, we're going to be loading up the first round of pigs. So we got 4 pigs that are going to the processor. And you guys already know that's a bittersweet time for us. As you guys know, we raise these pigs for other folks, for customers. And these are all sold. So it's not like we can keep them here. We can't. But we have the livestock trailer that we brought in, about a week or so now. And what we did is we built this chute back up here a little bit. Hopefully you guys can pick that up. So what we basically did is we took some pig panels and we basically put them into kind of like a triangle or a cone. So it's as wide as one of the panels there that we're gonna be able to remove. That's gonna allow the pigs to get into this area and start getting used to that trailer. In fact, our plan is to have a ramp. We've got a ramp on order that was supposed to be here today. It sounds like it's gonna now be here tomorrow. But we've got a ramp that is gonna lead up into the trailer, and we'll probably put our old 2-head feeder with some feed up in the trailer to start to encourage the pigs who are very curious to start using that trailer to actually for feed. So that way they're not freaked out, hopefully, 2 weeks from now when we start bringing them in. But Lori started walking up, pigs are going crazy. You guys, this is a pomegranate tree that's a year old. It is completely covered with these flowers that will eventually turn into pomegranates. Now, you guys know that for this second year, we're not gonna let this tree fruit. And it's really, I mean, these get massive. So these branches really can't hold that anyway. And we want this to continue to put down root growth. We also still have to widen all of the channels, and we haven't gotten to this tree yet. That's one of our projects that we've got to get knocked out here in the spring. But I had to stop and show you guys this. I mean, these flowers are just beautiful, beautiful here. I've got one of the almond trees coming out of dormancy right here. That right there was the Nay Plus almond. Definitely not coming back. So the rootstock tried to grow. We have the other nonpareil almond that's doing fine. So you can see the nonpareil almond right there is doing fantastic. So when we got that, the plan was to have this cross-pollinate with that, but come to find out, this one that actually took and is growing really, really well, the nonpareil, actually is cross-pollinated by our all-in-one almonds right over there. So that worked out pretty good. This is looking really good. You know, we've been thinking about updates, and I think especially this year, now that we have a lot of these in the ground and a lot of changes happen from month to month, I think we may try to give you guys like kind of a monthly walkthrough as best we can. So we're gonna see if we can figure out timing on that and make time for that. So you guys probably know that Lori is sometimes a little camera shy, but she is like so chatty today. And you know, she actually does a very good job of explaining things much more calmly than I do, and much more succinctly than I do. So she's gonna actually spend some time with these guys, so hopefully I can get some footage of that. That should be fun. I want to give you guys a quick update on our white guava. So you can see we actually are starting to get some new growth and branching out of this guy right here. So maybe I was a little too harsh. I guess we're really gonna have to see what happens come the really, really hot weather. But for now, I've got new branching and we've got new leaves on there. So hopefully it's gonna actually survive. All right, so we're wrapping up with the documentary crew, and one of the things that we're trying to figure out right now is the stocking density. We have all the chickens in one tractor right now, which simplifies things for us, but at the same time we need to manage how much manure they're putting on the ground, how often we need to move them, and so that stocking density in the tractors is important. So right now I'm going to top off their feed because they're getting to the point now where they're getting through their feed a little too quickly, and that means we're going to have to split these guys up into 2 tractors. So my guess is we'll probably do that sometime this week, but in the meantime I need to grab some feed. One of the other things that we're trying to kind of determine is the best feed for these guys. And you know, broiler chickens grow really fast, so they need a high protein feed. And we've tried a few different types of feed. Right now, kind of what we're settling on, just from a cost standpoint and availability, we're having a hard time finding really good feed, is we're kind of just sticking with actually just sticking with a chick feed. So kind of a chick starter. It's about a 20% protein, and it looks to me like these chickens are actually growing really, really well on that, which is a good sign because that's usually pretty easy to find. We're buying basically half a ton of feed just for this batch of chickens. So I'm gonna go ahead and top off their feed. Yeah, they're completely out of feed. Yeah, so you can see they just mob that feed. They're still going nuts, and that's the challenge, is we want to make sure that they can all get to the feed fairly easy. There's a few that always kind of hang back, and then you got the more aggressive ones that get the feed and just hit it real hard, but they just go nuts over that feed. So we definitely need to start splitting those up. The good thing is that means that they're going to get across the pasture in basically half the amount of time, and we need to try to get the entire pasture with one full pass with these chickens this year. So hopefully that will pan out for us. So one of the things that we don't normally capture for you guys is feeding the pigs. So we do actually start to limit their feed somewhat. They go through about a bag of feed a day, which winds up being probably about 7 to 8 pounds per pig. Some will eat more than others, but for the most part, we want to start limiting that. So instead of having multiple bags of feed, you'll see Lori is gonna fill that now. And the pigs will be happy to see the fresh stuff. Hey, bird. Here, I'm gonna try to get another shot for you guys really quick. This is the old pig area, so you can kind of see that. Get a little lower to the ground, you can actually make out some of the growth here. I know it's a little bit different today with the other crew here today. So we're gonna link their channel down below. It's kind of cool. They're here in Arizona, and I think all of their episodes actually so far have all been based in Arizona. So you get an idea of like some really cool things that people are doing and some businesses that they run and some cool things. Like there was a guy on mushrooms, and I mean the video's got like 2 million views or something, just amazing. And I can see why. I know a good amount about mushrooms, but what this guy is doing here in Arizona with mushrooms is incredible. And then at some point in time, they're gonna have us on there, which Lori and I were talking about that last night. We're not exactly sure why they want us on there, but either way, it looks like that's gonna happen. So that was kind of neat to have them there. I'll link that down below. And you guys know, if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section down below. And hey, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do that. We'd love to have you here. You know, we're very interactive. We love interacting with you guys with the questions and the comments and putting content out there that really means something to you. And hey, share the content. You know, if you've got people that might be interested in this, you know, we get a lot of questions and a lot of new subscribers that don't know what we're doing and, you know, how to do these things. And we want to share that with as many people as we can, because you guys know we say it all the time. If we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. Back side of the eastern orchard here, give you a shot up to the front. Trees, it's the western orchard. Try your directions again, Dwayne. Thanks for doing all the heavy lifting today, sweetheart.
You're welcome.
I kind of like it when I don't have to lift the 50-pound bags of feed. That's fantastic.